What are red flags, like
Red flags
physically, that a woman would have that you would say you're not interested in? So let's start with weight.
Okay, this sounds.
What's the limit, brother? What's the limit, brother?
I would say for me as a big guy, I don't.
Don't say it's a big
for
guy.
you and
Don't
what you're
premise your answer.
To give you a piece of my mind.
Far from Normal Bros, and we back at it again. First of all, I'm gonna need you to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a mother effing friend to follow and subscribe to your boys. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast platforms as well. You can catch us on YouTube and TikTok. That's Far From Normal Podcast. Make sure you type that into a search engine and see the boys on those clips. We got everything for you. We got the website, www.farfromnormalpodcast.com. We got all the links up there. Make sure you check it out. Of course, YouTube. We're on Instagram as well. That's far_from_normal_podcast. Check it out. You already know. It's your boy Fuzzy Vision. You know I see the world clear. And you know I see the future. And the future is bright. You already know. Fuzzy Vision with 2 N's. If you have any likes, dislikes, rebuttals, or you want to be on the podcast, hit your boy up. Sonny, drop the handle, baby.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Sonny Frames. You can catch me on the gram at Sonny, SONNY, Frames, double S at the end. Make sure when you do check out my Instagram page, check out my stories, because I usually post a lot of stuff that has to do with motivation, inspiration, chasing your dream, and execution. So let's not forget, any dream that you're trying to achieve, the only way that you'll ever achieve it is through execution and putting a plan to motion. So make sure that you don't just stay in the dream world, and make sure you make it a reality.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And Fuzzy, let's get him. Content creation, man. The difficulties in content creation is, I think a lot of people don't quite understand what it takes to create something. I think the idea of creating something, it sounds good on paper or in theory, but when they're actually trying to figure it out and the steps that it takes and the consistency that it takes to get to a certain level, I think that's where a lot of people burn out. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that I think it's a hard thing. It's still something I'm trying to figure out, to be completely honest with you.
I think we all are, to be honest.
You know, because I have a lot of ideas and I write them ideas down, but really it's all about planning and executing. You know what I'm saying? And I think the hardest thing people have an issue with is the execution part, especially if you like have all these bright ideas, like I want to go outside, I want to meet at the park, and then I want to go shoot over there, and then that takes some time, some planning, and I don't think a lot of people know how to plan that. I mean, but I think there are people who do it well, even though if the content is not. I think my issue for me is like there's a certain quality that I want to put out, and I've even been in this phase of like there's some content I posted, and later on I'll be like, I hate that, so I delete it. So
here's the thing. I wonder if that's true. Like you said, like with content creating, if it's about the grind, like you continuously putting in the work, doing what you have to do, obviously posting, recording, doing video, sharing, being on all these platforms. It's like the formula has been told to us already. We all know the formula to a certain extent. Because if you're in the content creating game, you would have heard these things, right? You would have went on YouTube, you would have looked at people that are successful and followed the advice of those that are successful. But do you think this game, like you have to pay to play? Like I'm at that point where I think it's a pay to play type of industry. And I think this is the same way with sports industry, music industry. I think all these industries, even when you think of a musician charting, that I've heard that, you know, back in the days to get on radio, you had to pay. Your record label would pay the radio stations to promote you, right? And if you think about content creating, I asked about the pay and play because if you're not getting steam, if you're not moving anything and you've been posting, you've been consistent, you've been changing locations, videographers, editing, all the things you could do in order to improve your podcast, at what point do you say, this is not going to work unless I have to pay somebody in order to give me a look, in order to give me a shout out, in order to be on their podcast, in order, like, so at what point does you doing all of what you're supposed to do become not enough and you just have to maybe engage in paying people to get your influence up?
I mean, I think there's always going to be a pay aspect to the things, especially if you want a certain quality. But I mean, if you want to, sometimes it might not be paying a person as opposed to paying for advertisement. You know what I'm saying? Paying for like boosting your posts or whatever. And then I think, because I watch a lot of videos about how to even grow on a YouTube platform or a TikTok platform or an Instagram platform. And a lot of it is, I mean, they try to wiggle around, I find, the pay aspect. And not that the other things aren't true, but there is you got to pay for, even if you got to pay for equipment. If you
100%,
pay for stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's always some financial aspect that you have to do. I just think that it is a bit easier. Like, I don't think the overhead is that much if people are just posting on their phone, like they're using their phone and then.
But do you think that really works? Because I mean, I see a lot of content creators try and go down that road and say, you know what, all I got to do is post with my phone. I don't need to really pay too much into YouTube, right, and be authentic. But I'm like, how far does authenticity really take you when you're watching a lot of these creators really invest on their platforms? You know, they got the banner on their YouTube page, they got the thumbnails, they got the, you know, the high equipment, or they're in studio. Like, when you're facing up against all these other YouTubers, maybe back in the early days of YouTube, you know, I think you could have got away with you just filming off your iPhone or something of that sort. But I don't know about this day and age. I think more of, in order for you to promote yourself and get to the next level, you're gonna have to pay for SEO. You're gonna have to pay for just email marketing and you know, paying for different aspects of your platform in order for people to just to view it. Like, I see on TikTok, you could get promotion, and they always try and push promotion on their marketing.
They're trying to get you to pay.
Yeah, get you to pay for that. YouTube has their own promoting thing as well, where, you know, boost this YouTube, boost this short, or boost this whatever your long form content. And I'm seeing a lot of that, even Instagram, and a lot of the advertisements that they put, it's all about promotion. So sometimes I look at consistency and I'm like, how far is that really gonna take you in terms of organic growth? Maybe over time, you know, you're gonna have an authentic fan base, but how long will that really take? How much years are you willing to put in before you throw in the towel?
I don't think there's probably a such thing as organic growth anymore, and on any platform. But I also think it depends on the content that's being posted. If you wanted to, I don't even know if I should be saying this. If you want an OnlyFans girlies, that's not gonna take. You know what I'm saying? That's probably gonna be
instant
sex sells. So that's gonna get ate up immediately. But if you're the artist, the creator, you probably are gonna have to do some different things that the OnlyFans girly don't have to.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
I think they have obviously advantages for specific reasons, right?
Yeah.
And they'll get more traffic for specific reasons. But I think for any subscription based platform, you still have to pay for like marketing. Like, even if you're a good looking woman, like how much good looking women we see on Instagram, not all of them can make the same amount of money on
but I
OnlyFans.
think there are also like some,
it can be short lived. That's what I'm saying.
I do think there are some women or like people in that utilize sex as advertisement that have some type of talent, right?
Yeah.
And they just use the sex portion to get to the other thing.
Yeah.
Like they'll have like art, or they'll have like, I've seen this where like some girls cook and they have seasonings, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, they have other.
I don't think they're going to OnlyFans for the cooking special.
No, for sure, but like, at the end of the day, if somebody is going to their account for OnlyFans for whatever that subscription is, I don't really understand how OnlyFans works exactly.
I haven't dabbled into it.
You pay for that and then maybe buy a couple bottles of seasoning too. Like it's a win-win. You know what I'm saying? Like you've really kind of diversified your market a bit, especially like let's say the seasoning is actually good. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's good seasoning, then you might get somebody else who has no interest in that person's content for the subscription to be like, yo, I might buy the seasoning though.
Yeah, no, actually, content creation and OnlyFans is interesting platform. And the reason why I say it's interesting because when you think about it, there's so many women that have beauty. And there's so many women that are able to enhance their beauty with, getting their breasts done, getting a BBL, getting their lips done, getting the right type of makeup, getting a makeup artist. Some of them are makeup artists. Yeah. So they're able to, professional.
More very talented.
Yeah, very talented. Yeah, very talented. So they're able to create this illusion of beauty and able to gain a huge variety of fans that want to listen to their content. But at the same time, now I'm thinking, how do they differentiate themselves from one another? Because as you said, there could be a girl that's pushing the sex aspect, but at the same time, she has some other talent where it's like in arts, doing and this is where they need to be creative, where it's like you're naked but you're painting or whatnot. You're doing a portrait.
Yes, this is when you have to be creative.
Yeah, because now that will differentiate yourself from,
like you said with the cooking thing. Obviously, we're joking about it, but there'll be some girls cooking naked, and guys will just want to watch that.
Exactly.
And she could be a good chef regardless. She could be doing her thing.
I'm finding that people, they definitely consume content differently than I would consume it. Because there are people, and a friend of mine was explaining it to me, there's women and men both do this, right?
Yeah.
They'll follow a person because they're tall. Yeah. And they're just showing that they're tall, which is like, that's not interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know
what attracts them.
Value for that. You know what I'm saying? But people like that. 100%. There are people that like just read. You know what I'm saying? They don't do anything, but they read. But there's an audience for that. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe they like the voice of the individual.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's soothing.
Maybe they like seeing a black man read. That could also be. There's always some little nuance to it. Yeah. But as far as your question for differentiating yourself, I think it's very hard. I think it's always been hard. Yeah. But I think with content creation, it's so saturated, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody thinks their opinion is the right opinion. Right. So if you got 1,000 people who have an opinion and think their opinion is the right opinion, how you distinguish which one is the right one for you to like listen to, follow, get their content? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think it's difficult to find a niche. You know what I'm saying? And even if you do find a niche, there might be people that already like that content. Like, I think that, it's just about people gravitating towards what they like and who they follow. Like what I follow, I don't follow no Instagram baddies anymore at all. No. I had to purge, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's just to get to that quick, but get back to your point, but what's the purpose of that? I never understood the purpose.
Following those type of baddies.
What's the purpose of following an IG baddie? Let's get down to today.
So that's why
I've never done it.
Never.
I think honestly it's just like a fantasy aspect. Okay. So you know what I'm saying? Like you just as a man who likes women, you're just attracted to looking at women, and then you'd be like, ooh, wow, blah, 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 blah. And I had to start unfollowing for a couple of reasons. One, it was just becoming like I just felt nothing for it. Like it was just not interesting to me anymore. Okay. Yeah. And two, I had a friend. I didn't realize people could see the stuff you like. So I remember I had this friend
yeah, you're right.
Red-handed.
This friend tell me once, she was like, yo, every girl with a big butt and a big this and that you like. And I was like, for real? And I would go back to some of these women's pages that she's mentioned, and I wouldn't even remember seeing a picture. Wow. It was just like
automatic.
It was just click. So I was like, all right, I gotta unfollow that. And then I also, because as a creator, I don't want to consume content that much. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? here are my rules. I'm only following you if we've met, if I know you, or you actually create content that I find is inspirational. And my page has been way better for that sense. I forgot what my previous point before that was, though. My bad.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I was actually gonna ask you a question in the sense because you said something about the content creation is getting oversaturated, and in my own opinion, I don't believe that is the case necessarily, because I think content creation is oversaturated at the bottom tier. I think the higher you grow, the less oversaturated it is. I said this in my last podcast episode when I was talking about when I went to Japan, and there's this place called the Inari Gates, and so there's these like orange reddish gates that you have to go through to get to a shrine. But at the very beginning of that shrine, and to get to the shrine and get to the gates, you're seeing a bunch of people. Everybody's there, you know, everyone's taking pictures, you know, they're getting ready, the food stands are there. But then as you start climbing the steps to get to the very top of the shrine, you can see the higher you go, the less people are there. The higher you go, the less people are there. It's always at the very beginning, the starting point is where everybody's gonna be there, and you're like, man, there's so much people doing this. But then after, as you keep climbing, the more consistent the work ethic that you keep putting on over and over and over again, then you look back and you're like, where is everybody?
Yeah, I can see that. I think a lot of times when people build a niche and they found their version of how they want content, they're coasting now.
Yeah.
You acquire more resources.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, people find you too. And that's another thing, right? You're getting more exposure because you were consistent. You have more content out there, so people could watch that content. Then people could recommend that content to other friends and other people in your city, and then they can now get in contact with you. Oh, I like what this guy's doing or this woman's doing. Oh, let me get in contact with them. Let's see if we can collaborate. Now, all of a sudden, all that heavy lifting is a burden taken off your back.
Yeah, a lot of people have teams. If you look at the biggest podcasts like Shits and Gigs.
Yeah. I never understood how. I noticed that they're big, but I never really understood why they're so big. I don't watch them, but
I've seen some stuff. I think, honestly, I don't know exactly. I think people like their content. There's funny and just. I think honestly, it's the human element to it. Like when they read the tweets, they have like situational stuff.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a situation would be like, what's the worst thing you ever did to try to get some from a girl or something, you know? And I guess the story once was like a guy told a girl he was dying or something wild, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think people like that kind of humanistic value. I think there is some funny stuff to them as well. But I think for me, their content is, I can only take like bite-sized pieces.
I tried to listen to it, but I just don't find it. I couldn't find the comedic value into it, but like I've seen that people enjoy that content, but I think for me personally, it's not my style of content that I like to listen to.
Agreed. Same for me. I think it's just the live. I think people see it as like live comment section. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like a live response.
Like it's live comment section. Like it's not, you know how you go when you look at a post and you go through the comments and see what people say.
Yeah.
And see people say funny shit. I think it's that, but live. Like people.
So they found the niche.
They found a niche.
Unique because I seen there was some these two women on IG. They look young and they would do voiceovers. Like they would.
I know what you're talking about.
Imitations of like famous interviews that happen. So they'll put the laptop.
I've
seen
that.
The camera,
I've seen that,
and then they'll reiterate it
with NFL stuff too. I think I've seen.
I've seen
something.
They probably did it with whatever interviews.
I know what you're talking about. He's talking about like Meech, like you know how they do the voiceover.
Not voiceover. Like
that's different.
They will use the same
reenacting.
They're just reenacting.
Yes.
So I don't know. You remember R. Kelly's famous one? I didn't do this shit. So they would like reenact.
Girls?
Yeah, two black girls. They both are doing it with the same cadence as him.
Yeah. I think this.
Shit, and they're doing the
think it's
cadence and
funny,
everything
but I
like
think
that.
it's
Like that's a
also-
niche that they managed to be successful in because I only seen them doing. And
Yeah.
even though it's not content that I would look into necessarily,
Right.
I appreciate the creative value.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they found like a kind of little pocket. But here's the thing: even with a lot of these niches, it's like we're in such a quick paced society, so things move quickly in terms of trends, right? So whatever is popular today is not popular tomorrow. So as you know, on social media, there's lots of social media trends of certain videos or certain things that they're showing, obviously, depending on what's happening in pop culture. So for example, if Diddy's the big topic of today, you got a lot of content about Diddy, and then people say no Diddy, no this, like they're making jokes about it, and then that becomes the popular content for the day. Then it switches over to whatever next funny thing is going on. You remember they used to have the cat meme, like with that cat. I don't know if you remember.
Which
There's like a
one?
black cat, and they're just like looking. Like that was like a big meme, and like so it's lots of trendy shit. So how do you get out of being a trendy type of content creator compared to or like organic in the sense that whatever content you talk about, people are interested, not necessarily because it's popular for today, because that's a challenge that we even face here. Because when people are listening to us, you have to think about it. It's like, what do they want to hear? Do they want to hear us talk about what's going on in today's society, like all the problems, or good or bad? Do they want us to talk about that, or do they want us to talk about everyday life, what's going on,
or
our
fashion,
aspirations, fashion,
sports,
girls, relationship, marriage, sports? There's so much aspects, especially when they look at us, they're like, oh, like these guys can get dabble in 1, 2, 3, so many different topics. But it's like, what are people going to gravitate towards? What's trendy, or just the personalities?
I think it's hard in general, man, to be honest with you, because I think content is not like, it's always going to be yesterday's content.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go see a movie, like if we talk about a movie that I think was great, Black Panther, now that's like, that's so
Yesterday's,
2016,
that
2018,
was,
you know what I mean? Like, it's not, it was in that moment.
People forgot about that.
In that moment, that was that shit. But in that later on, and I just think that like what really stays current in general, you know what I'm saying? Like today,
you're right.
you know, like in everyday life,
You're
you know
right.
what I mean? Like there's certain trends that we hopped on. Listen, I remember being in high school wearing tall tees and
that
baggy
disappeared.
pants, and now I couldn't imagine wearing tall tees and baggy pants.
See, but
you know what I'm saying?
and
Like,
it's interesting that you say that, because that's why I was never a big fan of tatting your body.
really? Okay.
Yeah, because the thing about the tats that you got in high school, you're not gonna want to have those same tats when you're 50 years old. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a permanent decision that you're making, because that was a trend for the time period of which you got it.
Yeah.
And now that trend is now outlasting when the trend was actually created. Now you're 50
Yeah.
and you got like this weird tattoo when you never had any real finances to pay for a really good tattoo artist. That's just a marking on your back. Or you have
A lot
to
of bad
a lot
tattoos
of
out here.
bad-
A lot
yeah.
of terrible
Yeah.
tattoos.
I'm not gonna say I'm one of them people that got but I think it's just growth. You know what I'm saying? I was talking about this with my boy the other day, and somehow it always comes back to women. But I was like, I remember back when I was like 19, 20, 21, when you still figuring out who you are, where I would jump through hoops to try to get girls. Like I would, if a girl was like, you want me, you gotta jump, and I'd be like, to the moon or to Mars, where you want me to go? Whereas now I'm just like, yeah, I ain't doing that shit. Like I'm just chill. I'm not really ready. I don't have that. I don't know what it is. It's like I don't want to do that no more.
You're older.
Just to
You're older.
engage with women in that fashion, right? It's very much like, yo, we gonna kick it or not? If not, yo, I'm gonna go play video games, or I'm gonna go do something else that I enjoy doing, you know what I'm saying? And I think in the moment when you're young, you just only know that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like you only know the present. Thinking about the future is just like,
not necessarily, because I never got any tats. So not everybody's thinking in that sense.
fair enough.
So like some people understand that
some decisions are permanent. Like at a time, I did want to get tattoos. Like when I was in high school, and that was the trendy thing to do. I thought about it, but then I started looking at people getting tattoos, and there's not like a huge amount of people, but I was seeing where the trend was going, and I was looking at the fact that, well, if I get a tattoo and everybody else is getting a tattoo, how do I stand out? Because I was always growing up, I was always that individual that was always thinking about, how do I separate myself from
everybody else?
Yeah, from everybody else. How do I not be stuck in the herd?
Right.
So if the trends were tattoos and everybody's getting it, I'm no different than everybody else. So as much as you want to act like, oh, I'm a rebel, I'm a badass, then it's like, well, then this guy's a rebel and he's a badass, and this guy and this guy. So it's like, well, you don't really have an identity. So I said, you know what? Maybe I'm not gonna get the tattoo. Then
Neither
over
of you
time,
have tattoos?
no.
No tattoos, brother.
Man,
That's what I'm saying.
I
We
might
never
got a couple.
see. That's what I'm saying. We never fell victim
know.
to the
Well,
trend.
I think some people live their life a little. They live their life in the moment. When they're in that moment at that time, that's
Which I think
when they
is good,
decide
man.
to. Which is good, yeah.
To a certain extent, yeah.
This is what I say about living in the moment. I think that you should live in the moment. A lot of times, there's you know, a lot of the times when you do something or you make a decision like for that moment, yeah, it feels good in that moment. Sometimes you have to make it regardless of the consequences of that decision making, because at the end of the day, at least you have confidence in what decision you're making, right? So I say, if someone's gonna make a decision, make the decision. That's the key in the growth, is the decision making. Whether it's a bad decision or a good decision, you'll learn that as time goes on. So if you got a tattoo, say for example, when you're younger, in your teenage years or young 20s, and now you're 50, there's either two things that's gonna happen. You regret it, or you're like, fuck, I wish I got more. Or you're saying, I want to get more at this age now. Like, you know, so people have different perspective of living in the moment. But obviously it's always encouraged to plan your life out before you make certain decisions that are permanent, because
I would say don't make permanent decisions. I think you can make certain decisions, but you have to be careful with the permanent decisions.
Yeah.
For example, having a child in high school, like these are permanent decisions.
yes,
So
life-altering decisions,
life-altering decisions.
Yeah.
So there's some decisions where you have to take more time to think about, rather than other small decisions where it's like, yeah, I'm living in the moment. Like if you decided to go live overseas at age 20 years old, this is okay.
And don't get me wrong, even for the tats, like obviously now in this day and age, a lot of people have tattoos compared to like 15 years ago, 20 years ago,
100%.
right? So it's more acceptable. By the time you're 50, a lot of people would have tattoos, and it won't be a big deal to you.
I was gonna say, like, a prime example of like even 50 Cent. He had 50 on his back. This man got that removed because it's like that was a period of time where he thought that was the thing. That was the trend. Tattoos were the cool thing. Then eventually he got to the mind frame where he's like, this doesn't make sense to me. And that was on his back. That's not something you see often. But
I'm
he's
in
like,
two minds of that. I definitely think plan for the future, but don't plan so much in the future that you're missing moments.
I'd say you're right about that one point. But go ahead.
But you're right about life changing decisions. If it's like something as simple as like, yo, I want to go to live overseas, or like, yo, I want to go holler at that person over there. They seem like do that. You know what I'm saying? But like, if it's like having a child, or like even a tattoo, or things that will impact your life for years to come, really consider that and look at the scope of what does that mean to do that. If it hasn't a child, well, you need a lot of money, because children are not.
Or even getting married. That's another,
Getting married, you know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing, even when we talk about it, because we can sit here and act like we're the most planned and prepared people on earth, but we're not, obviously.
Of course.
All of us have our flaws. All of us make wrong decisions and do things that, maybe we shouldn't have done at that time, like could have made a better decision. So it's not lost with us that, no one's perfect. No one's going to always make the right decision. So you're going to make decisions you regret, and you're going to make decisions that you don't regret. There's going to be both sides to it. But here's the thing, when it comes to making big decisions, I would say, because like I said, a tattoo is not a big deal. If it's hidden on your body, you can have it for the rest of your life. Whether you like it or not, no one's gonna see it unless you want to reveal it. Most people have shitty tattoos. It's hidden somewhere. It's not on their neck. It's not on their head. It's not on somewhere visible. It's on maybe their rib or their ear or their foot or something like that, right? So there are like, so if someone made that decision, that's not really a big deal, right? Like no one's gonna really regret something like that years later. So it depends how egregious, how crazy the decision is. So people making permanent decisions that will really, like I said, really affect their life or whatever.
Face
that,
tats,
like
neck
face tats, neck tats.
Right,
I've seen that. I've seen that with women more so than men.
Face
surprisingly,
face tats?
neck tats. I've seen neck
neck
tats on
tats,
women,
okay.
ears, behind the neck,
Yeah.
back, spine, visible tats. Right.
Yeah,
I've seen even. Yeah, I've definitely seen women with tats on their face, like more than men
Yeah.
in this city.
I
Yeah,
don't know if
I haven't really seen.
I've seen that more than men because I haven't seen any men with like really face
Not in
tats,
this
you know,
city.
unless they're like a homeless guy or something.
I mean, I know in the States that's a thing where some people get the face tats, but I don't know about.
I think face tats are rare.
yeah, it's
Did-
still
To be
rare.
honest with you, I think it's rare.
You know, yeah, they get the ones on the eyebrow over here, just right on top, like a name.
Yeah, a little name on the side.
Look at Lil Uzi, Lil Wayne.
These are celebrities,
These are
celebrities,
celebrities.
yeah.
Guys, like,
So you're saying in the South they don't have guys walking around,
especially in
with the,
America.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've seen these guys. Got
In
the
America, they're tatted
yeah,
in
they got the tat
middle of the
down-
forehead.
down the
I
eyebrows.
haven't spent much time in the South, so I'm not
Oh, okay,
entirely
okay.
sure. Like I'm from Detroit, so like
Okay, true. Yeah,
I don't. But I think
yeah, Northeast. Yeah, East
some
Coast,
people,
Midwest.
a lot of people have tats. I think face tats are very rare,
Okay.
and if I have seen them, usually it's been people that have a certain social status that it doesn't even matter that they have a
Okay.
face. You know, it doesn't affect an outcome. But like, yeah, I actually did see a guy that had a tat on his neck once working at a McDonald's. So that
that's
was
kind of wild.
So what's your thoughts on like women that have tattoos? Like, do you care about some stuff like that?
No.
Body modifications, like any type of thing like that? Are you good with? What do you like, the natural, or
I
do you
do
like the
like-
extras?
I think I like everything. I think natural is always a preference.
Why?
I just think that's what you grow up knowing. You know what I'm saying? You kind of find your attraction towards the women that you knew what they looked like growing up. You know what I'm saying? And most girls, obviously, because they didn't have the resources to like make modifications to their body, they had a natural look. So that's what you like. But I wouldn't say like it's a deal breaker type of thing for me. But I mean, I don't think as far as I know, I've ever came across a woman that has ever done any modifications to their body. At least not
Okay,
personally
that's- okay.
dating. No. Tats, I like tats. I think tats on women can be quite attractive, to be fair with you.
So are we talking about attractive in the sense that you would have fun with them, or you would actually take them seriously?
And which one? The body modifications or the tattoos?
Tattoos. Like, would you bring a girl that's tatted to your
Your
family,
family.
and say, "This is
Take
my
her
girl"?
seriously.
And
It
this is,
depends on like I think there probably would be something about where the tats are. If the tats, as we were talking about, if they're like covered up, then I don't have no problem. But I don't
But
think
if you go to outings and stuff of that nature, where she's now wearing something more revealing than even a former like formal attire,
yeah, like a dress. Say you're tatted on your arm sleeves.
Yeah, she has a sleeve, something like that, which has one going down her back, and she has an open back type of-
tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't bother me at all.
But I'm saying, would you
I'm
bring
not saying
that
if it
around your
bothers
family?
you. I'm
Oh,
saying
would I bring
yes.
it around
Around
my
your
family?
family, like take
If
it
it's a serious
serious.
relationship, if
But I'm saying, would you take them serious when they're like that?
I mean, I can't base it just off if they have tattoos, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a whole criteria for me to even consider dating a woman seriously, you know what I'm saying? So like if she has tattoos, it's not gonna be like, oh, that's gonna be it for me, because there are other factors that I probably think will be more important, like their behaviors, their personality, you know what I'm saying? How they treat me, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people may not treat you the best way because of however they feel about whatever. So like it's not something that's definitely a deal breaker for me.
So looks wise, like how they present themselves, what are red flags you have for women? Because everything we've asked you, you've said you've liked. So what's a red
Looks
flag
black,
for you?
I mean, I do think like face tattoos would be kind of a red flag for me. You mean like just physically? Sorry.
Physically, like what would you avoid out of a woman
That's a
physically?
good question. I don't think I've ever actually thought about that, to be completely honest with you.
Because there's women you don't go after. There's women you're not attracted to, or you wouldn't, or they might be attractive, but not your style of attraction.
But I'm also like not in the phase of like trying to date seriously. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know what I
But
mean?
you
So-
still, but even if you're not in the phase, I'm not in the phase of wanting to date seriously either. But at the same time, you still having a criteria of a woman that you would like to take seriously. If she comes across while you're just in the midst of not dating seriously,
right.
you're gonna be like, oh, okay, she fits my criteria. I'll take her on.
So
Like,
what's the question again? Sorry. What physically?
So
Okay, this sounds.
what's the limit, brother?
What's the limit,
What's the
brother?
limit, brother?
I would say for me as a big guy, I don't.
Don't say
Don't
it's a
say
big
for you and
Don't
what you're
premise your
What
answer.
you want?
You just gotta say
No, there's no-
don't. You just gotta say your honest, direct truth.
Physically, my attraction to women varies.
Man.
Like number,
Number. What else are we asking?
What's the weight
number?
limit?
What's the weight number?
So you can deal. So 300.
300 pounds works for
you.
you.
Can handle 300.
I don't know, man. What
250?
What does 300 look like?
You don't know what 300 looks like.
If you don't know what it looks like, it doesn't seem like it's something you want.
Yeah, so it's not a big deal then. It's not a problem.
Like, and I mean,
I know you're saying. He's saying like if is it like a big ass and big breasts? Like he's basically saying like are they in?
Are they
300 pounds will never look good. Like I don't care in what.
You're bigger.
You're a
woman.
big
That's the
woman.
point.
Like,
You're a big
300
woman. I'm not
pounds.
saying it's gonna look. I've seen something on Instagram.
I've
It surprised me. But again, these girls are doing surgery and all type of stuff to make it look good in the right places. Yes, I've seen 280.
280.
280.
What was her height?
Probably not even tall, but
Oh,
of course,
come
but
on.
slim stomach,
Stop.
but the BBL at the back.
Stop.
And
280?
280.
I have to preface this. I feel like as a guy who is on the larger side of things,
Mm-hmm.
No,
it's
no.
it's
No,
it's unfair.
It's
No,
not unfair.
it's not unfair.
No such thing as
I just
fairness. And
Life is unfair.
Bro, and they gonna be like,
they got ripped.
talking.
Don't worry about the comments, man.
Forget about the comments.
Hey, man, don't worry about the comments.
This he said.
No, but see your preference.
Yeah,
though.
but here's the thing. Here's the big thing now. What I've noticed. So why is it so easy for a woman that's even 300 pounds to come and tell you her preference? She'll tell you 6 feet. She'll tell you chisel, good
abs.
6-pack abs.
Yeah,
she'll
six-pack
tell you
abs, yeah.
6 figures, and she'll be 300 pounds, and she'll go on a public interview and
she'll say it.
She'll actually say she's a 10 out of 10 in some cases. I've heard. Brazenly, but
Yeah.
but the point of the matter is. No, but think
No,
about
seriously. This is a serious thing.
No,
though.
but I put it this way. Like, think about it. Okay, so what? So you think I can sit here and just be like, oh, I need a chick to be like 120, and she has to have like flawless. She has to have abs and this and that. Well, don't I deserve to say that? Because I work out as no. Look, listen. Like, don't I deserve to have those type of criteria and say it? But people
they'll
still would
still
rip
there's
me.
no rip 'em.
They'll still criticize me.
There's nothing wrong with having criteria, but don't you think as men, our criteria is a bit more flexible than women's are usually?
For sure.
Of course, because scarcity versus abundance.
For me, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like I was talking to my boy about this, and it was something I just said. What I like physically ranges. You know what I'm saying? It's just not
Okay.
just specific
Okay.
to a one.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? To a particular look.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Whereas I do find that women's what they find attractive in men is kind of physically very similar.
I don't
You know what I'm
think
saying?
I don't
What do you
think they
mean? Well,
worry too
women-
much about the physical.
I don't think women
aspect.
worry about physical that much.
Because if you
Yeah?
ask most women, I would say I'm pretty sure because I come across this, they won't talk.
What do you mean?
Like 9 out of 10 women will be like, he's got to be 6 feet plus.
Buddy, you
So you're
roll
talking
up,
about
you roll
height.
up in Mercedes, you'll see how fast that 6
Definitely
feet disappears.
Changes.
Oh,
sure.
Hold on a second. So
You
you're
say that. Cut all of that out.
yeah. So you're saying that women won't give you a chance because if they see you're not at a certain height.
No, I'm different. I'm definitely the one you want to talk to. Okay, the height thing has never been an issue for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm saying on a general, if you look at the landscape,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking generally. I'm not talking specific to any one woman.
Yeah.
Generally, most women would say they want tall.
They want someone taller than
them.
No,
That's
but
what
like,
they'd say.
I've had women that I'm taller than, and I'm not tall, that I'm taller than, that would be like, I need taller. And listen, it's all
It varies from person to person. I think it varies.
So I think that this is very general. If I think women, or I think even people that are looking for genuine people to build a partnership with, those things, those physical qualities don't matter.
Yeah, that superficiality.
The superficial stuff doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
Right?
But for you, how much does the superficial parts matter to you if you're dating a woman?
in what sense? I'm just
The superficial. Here's the
beating
thing.
around the bush here.
Here's the thing. No, but listen.
Stalling for time.
Stalling
for time, guys.
Pressure cooker. That's far from normal pressure cooker.
The physical aspect that does matter to a degree. You know what I'm saying? I think
To what degree? Most important or least important? In your aspect, attractiveness. Where does that rank?
well, it ranks high. Like that's just let's keep it real. It ranks high
No,
for
that's for
everybody.
every male.
So
It ranks high.
wait one
Because it's the
second.
first time I
It ranks high, but you got looks, you got personality, and then you could look at finances. I don't know if every guy looks at that, but say you got looks, personality, finances. Go by intelligence.
Personality. Did you say personality?
Yeah, it's a
you said
personality. Then go intelligence, and then maybe go fitness.
Okay.
So out of all those 5 things, what do you think is the most important for you? Personality, looks,
Most important when we're talking about
fitness.
long-term development partner is personality, thought process, and stuff like that.
What
How you
gets them
think,
in the door?
values and stuff.
The
like
most
that.
important is what gets
'Cause I
them
would
there.
take- Since we on the podcast,
Uh-huh.
I'll take a 6 that has a great personality.
But wait. The
You know
most
that?
important is what is what you go after. First of all, so
Oh, you mean sorry, we just staying physical right now.
no. I'm
Just
talking
on an
I'm
approach
talking
level,
about on
on
an
an
approach
approach
level.
level.
Like, how does a girl even get in your zone?
Yeah,
like,
no,
you
it's
get what I'm
physical.
saying?
Oh, yeah. So that's what we're at. So
that's where we're at. That's why I said.
Yeah.
So, but you're saying you're not that picky. You have a big range.
I'm not picky when it comes to like I have different physical sizes I'm saying that I'm attracted to like a girl this petite to like this thick to like maybe a little bit larger. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
there's a range of like women like
See, here,
if we're in a room, right?
yeah.
Actually, I can't do this because I gotta reference people we all know, but like
No.
that's not you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you don't need to say no names. I mean,
I think here's the thing.
you
I
don't need
think
to say names.
here's the thing. He says, I think you say looks are most important. I think you say looks are most important to you, but from what I'm gathering from everything you've said, it seems like looks isn't the most important to you.
So looks isn't most important when it comes to developing a long-term partnership.
I don't think for you, even in your approach, I don't think looks is the biggest factor for you. I think
Really?
hear me out, because if you don't have specific details on looks, then looks is
Can't
not
be
the biggest
looks, yeah.
factor.
No, man.
Because trust me,
it's a wide range.
no.
You did say
Trust
it's
me,
a wide
that's a wide
range,
range.
yeah.
Trust me. If I ask certain guys,
They know
they're gonna
exactly.
tell you nothing over 150, nothing over 120. They'll tell you straight up what they. If you talk to a girl, they'll tell you what it is. Nothing under 6 feet. They're very specific.
That's
They're very
fair.
specific on what they want.
Yeah.
They don't give chance for everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, you're 5'7" with a good personality. No, I want 6. It doesn't matter what you can
That's
pick
true.
up.
Yeah.
You
That's
can't make
true.
up the ground.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they ain't on the podcast right now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to.
Yeah, guys, protect me. I'm trying to save myself.
I got.
Yeah, man.
I gotta make sure.
You're right. He's just right. Protecting his future, guys. Future. Yeah. Hey, man, don't hate the player, hate the game. Hate the game.
I see it because I mean, no, you do get criticized hard for like being a person that critiques hard. They're gonna critique you hard. For me personally, I don't care. I'm gonna say
You don't care at all.
I say
For
it to
critiques.
for critiques, like when I
What's
talk
your
to
personal
women,
preferences?
my like
Okay.
in terms of my personal preferences.
Fair enough.
And even with my homegirls, I'll tell them straight up like what I'm looking for. And you'll see girls rolling their eyes and sighing and making I don't want to hear it type of like noises and stuff of that nature. And I'm just like, bye-bye, excuse me. This is what I want. And that's just what it is. Whether you like to hear what I'm saying or not, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. All right. In that
That's-
case,
yeah.
since y'all are so sure, you know what I'm saying? I just, I like thick girls. You know what I'm saying? I like,
Okay, so that's fair.
I like thick girls. I'm a boob breast guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah,
It doesn't have to
voluptuous.
be large or super big. I do like it proportion. Like I like
Okay.
when women are very proportioned.
Yeah.
Well, I like
Feminine,
when women
feminine.
dress well
Yeah.
to their body shape.
Yeah, now you see, now you're talking.
You see,
So now you're saying,
but
like,
here's the
okay.
thing, even behind this conversation. This conversation is not to rip the women and tell them like, oh yeah, you need to be this and need to be that. It's just a personal preference. But we had
Sure.
a podcast about this, and we are talking about personal preference, and we're like, why can't men have personal
Personal
preferences?
preferences.
And this is the exact topic, like where men are so afraid to be, ostracized or looked at as shallow.
Or
But I'm like,
criticized,
the
yeah.
women don't see it that way. The women actually see it quite the opposite. They're not willing to settle if you're not hitting their targets. And does that mean they're going to be successful in relationships? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
But they're willing to even sacrifice a relationship if they're not getting what they're looking
But
for.
I think sometimes it can be from an outside perspective looking in, it can be taken as women feeling like they're being criticized or not feeling good enough, because if a lot of men are saying, well, I like this, and let's say 100 men said they like this, and it was like the same shit, and then some girl who's not in that category, they might feel a type of way.
Well-
Just the equivalent of like, if
We're all in
a guy,
You're right about that.
Listen, we're all in that category.
Yeah, we're all in that category.
We're all in.
Right?
You're not
And we
rich
have to
enough.
suck
You're
it
not
up.
tall enough. You're not
Yeah.
rich enough.
We gotta suck it up, and we gotta figure out
that's true. That's
how do we adapt to a situation like that,
fair.
right?
That's fair.
And at
We
the end
make
of the
the
day, you can't
adjustment.
get them all. At the end of the day,
That's true.
There's only one for you. So like,
true.
what are you trying to please every single person? Like, think about it. If I go outside and I say, "This is the
day, bro." Like,
well, again, there you go, exactly. But well, if you want to be, if you want to be in the field, by all means, brother, you can have the rainbow. By all means, if you're in the field, that's what you want to do. Definitely, you have all the options. But that's more lust based. That's not based on. That's much else. Like
lust, but I think that there is, I think because of obviously historical patriarchy and stuff, and how that patriarchy has oppressed women, I guess there's a stronger spotlight on when men have certain specific desires from women than when women want them from men, right? Because of that whole landscape. So I think when men are talking about what they want their woman to be, which I don't think is unfair. I agree with y'all. It's not unfair, because you should be able to. You hear women. I just seen something the other day. A list of restaurants. Women said men can't take them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I didn't realize you was paying. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny that you mentioned that. Have you heard about the new trend that's going on called the soft guy era? Drizzle.
soft guy era.
Yeah, soft guy era, drizzle. Yeah,
It's soft girl era, not soft.
Yeah. So this is a new trend that's been going on. So basically, what happened was, and I'm seeing it on TikTok and YouTube now a lot more. It's funny because a guy at the gym that I go to mentioned it to me, and he said drizzle when I was talking about like some girls, but I didn't know what he was talking about. Then all of a sudden my feed started coming up with these drizzle and what does it mean? And I looked at the video, and basically what happened is there was some woman, I don't remember her name, but she came up with this thing called soft girl era. You ever heard of soft
I've
girl?
heard of soft girl era.
So basically
That's
it's
just like girls not wanting to work.
yes, so basically
Not going to work.
that don't want to work.
They want to
So-
be pampered and taken
Oh,
care
they
of.
want to be
taken
like a soft
care of.
girl. Yeah.
They call it
wanna do- they want the easy
Yeah,
life.
the easy, nice life.
So basically, yeah. So that whole thing became a troll amongst men. So basically, they took that whole soft girl era and said, "Okay, soft guy era."
So the girls take care of the
yeah.
guys.
So instead of sprinkle, they called it drizzle.
Oh my
and then they're just saying like, "Oh, if you're not making this amount of money, don't even talk to me. If you can't pay for your own meal and my meal when we go to a date, don't even try and talk to me. If you don't cook, you don't do this, you don't do that." Don't even
So
bother.
the men are
talking to
getting
me. You're
very
wasting my time.
specific with
Yeah, so they're getting very specific about it, but in a trolling manner.
Right.
But women are getting angered by what they're saying because it sounds so ridiculous to them. But that trolling aspect of it is trying to show them this is how ridiculous you sound,
Right.
and we're just trying to show you it in a more joking,
Mirroring.
we're mirroring what you guys are doing, and you don't like it, and so if you don't like it, how are we supposed to feel?
Are we
about
supposed to
what
roll
you're-
with something you
Yeah,
don't like?
exactly. If you think it's ridiculous,
I do find that we are in the era of like if men have certain desires, then a lot of people seem to find a way to downplay that or to diminish that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that somebody, what did somebody say to me? I forgot the word just the other day. Somebody was saying something to me about a guy doing, what's the word? Sassy.
Sassy. A lot of girls are calling these guys sassy.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like, I don't think a lot of women that are doing this are saying this, how it diminishes the value of men of like, okay, I want these things, right? Say, for example, listen, I remember I was talking to a friend, and sometimes I talk to my boys and I'm like, we'll be like, yo, this is part of the reason why we don't want to be vulnerable with women, right? Because I don't feel sometimes comfortable telling my female friends things. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
So, but it's something.
Why aren't you comfortable? Exposure, judgment?
I think they're a bit more judgmental than if I
100%.
came to like one of my homies and I say, yo, XYZ happened, and my homie would be like, yo, that same shit happened to me. And
So the relatability is in the
relatability is there. But I think women still have this belief that like, if you not wanting these things, then you're less than a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I remember telling one friend once, I was like, there was this girl I was dating, and I was like annoyed because I was like, yo, I'm always planning everything. I'm always hitting her up for us to hang out. Like, I would like her to like come up with some ideas. I would like her to like, yo, I want to go to this
be
thing.
engaged in what's going on. Yeah.
And her response to me was, so you want to be the woman in the relationship?
That's what she said to you.
That's what she said to me.
Wow.
And I was like, so I can't have certain desires or want out of my partner, and all of a sudden,
That's interesting. That's interesting. The reason why I say that's interesting is because
I can't believe I said it on the podcast. Cut that too.
no, that's interesting because I'm thinking if I was in a scenario like that, if I would take offense to that or I would appreciate that. It kind of depends, right?
I didn't know how to process it at the moment.
Because
You know what I'm saying?
here's the thing. Is she doing what she needs to do as a woman? So here's the thing. You can put that on me. Do I want to be the woman? You can put that on me. Put that on me. Fine. Do I want to be the woman? But then I need to ask you,
Are you doing womanly duties?
If you're going to ask me, do I want to be the woman? Well, I'm going to ask you, do you want to be the man? Because you don't seem to cook. You don't seem to do the things that women do. So
Right.
it has to be
Some balance.
balance on her side as well. So is she doing her feminine
Was she
duties?
doing that? Like,
Is she doing the things that a woman needs to do?
Yeah, the girl.
Or were you just chasing?
That's what
But
I'm saying, she wasn't doing anything to reciprocate. So
so then that's out of bounds. Out of bounds.
So I was like, I want some reciprocation because it's feeling one way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for me, I need some type of, men need to feel secure too. You know what I'm saying? And to a degree of like, are you giving me something that I find some value in?
Well, sure, a sense of appreciation at least
All of that,
for the
right?
individual, right?
So
That's why men stick around.
I think also I just didn't want to date seriously at the same time. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
that too. So you're not really too you're not too crazy about that.
what happens is like when you don't really want it and you don't feel like you're getting something out of something,
Mhm.
you make up reasons to not engage with that thing.
Mm.
And I think sometimes I'll do that. I think this is not a man thing. I think this is a people thing in general. I think women do it too. It's like women call it like the ick. It's like there's nothing really thing wrong with them.
Mhm.
It's just like you don't really like them.
Yeah.
So
you don't really mess with them like
yeah,
that.
anything they do, it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that was for me with that particular woman. And so that moment just made me realize that I didn't even want this.
Mm.
But I think that's fine. I think some guys would, not necessarily be upset by something like that. Like if she said, "Oh, like, well, you want to be the woman," you might find some humor in it, or understand. Okay, is this the dynamic we're going with? So if this is the dynamic we're going with, then obviously I should be expecting certain things as well from your side.
Well,
so
you
I
could
think
joke too. You
yeah.
could be like, yeah,
Like I said,
I do want to be the woman.
I got bare jokes usually, but
that one stumped you, eh?
well, when you was done with something, you just
yeah, you're just like,
Yeah, you're done with it. You didn't even want to waste the energy to try and
I'm gonna put my
try and
energy
convince,
trying to
convince her and stuff like that.
like, are we gonna banter? Are we gonna not banter, but like, are we gonna have an argument? Am I gonna be mad about this? What am I gonna put any energy into like trying to talk about
Makes
this?
sense.
But
I don't even want it.
Exactly.
So-
But going back to even her saying, "Oh, like, what do you want to be the woman?" So let's talk about like masculinity and what role that plays for men these days, because of course, as we know, in our country here in Canada, it seems like masculinity is going on a steady decline, where a lot of men are either biting their tongues, scared to say their opinion, scared of being ostracized, all these different things. Even when you're in friend circles, even with women that are your friends, you can't say certain shit because they're gonna take offense to it.
I prefer not to, actually.
You prefer not to because they're gonna take offense to it, or they're gonna judge you or see you as a different character. But everyone in life has multiple characters. When I'm with a woman, especially a woman that I like or someone I'm spending time with, I don't talk to her like how I'm talking to my boys, because we have a different comfortability. So we can talk about, controversial issues and certain things, but I'm not going to bring up some of my opinions, the deeper rooted opinions that I may have, or opinions that I know will come across as contentious. Right. So I wouldn't bring up conversations that would lead to an argument or lead to like a disbelief of, the type of person I am. Because sometimes, women, when they hear you speak about certain things, again, I was saying this about on like another podcast, when you talk about certain things and you talk with comfortability about it, they all of a sudden assume that, oh, you must be okay with this. So say, for example, if we're talking about cheating here today and we said something like, well, I don't think cheating is a big deal, then you hear from it, oh, you don't think it's a big deal? Oh, why? Oh, so you must be doing so. Or if you're just talking about it in a perspective of cheating, like, is it so bad? And just having a conversation about it, a lot of the time, just because you're having the conversation, they think you lean towards one side more than the other side. Just because you left it open, you didn't say that is bad. And that's what they're waiting for you to say. So just like, it's almost like if someone's getting discriminated against or something like that, and you see it and you don't say anything, and say you're with a girl and she's like, oh, like you didn't say nothing about that guy's being like racist or something. Like, I don't really think he was being racist. I think they were just like beefing. They're just talking shit to each other. Right. But she'll be like, oh, what? Like, how come like you don't see it in the way I see it? And you're looking at it like, no, that's not right. That person's not right. But they might have seen it a different way because they're more sensitive to certain words or certain triggers. And you might be more used to hearing, like, so for me, I work in the trades. So I'm used to hearing a lot of trigger words that would trigger a regular person outside, even racist stuff. But I'm more numb to it because I've been around it. So I notice when you're around women, reason why we have to, bite our tongues is because a lot of times we have harsher realities, especially the way we speak. We talk very bluntly, sometimes very harshly, vulgarly, with a lot of vulgarity. A lot of these things are locker room talk, things that don't get really exposed to the women. So then sometimes if you come out and you have that same kind of energy, the woman looks at you like a monster, like, oh, who is this guy? Why is he saying these things? And I thought he thought the same way I thought. So I always get confused when women try to make you have the same mentality as them, but you're a man, they're a woman. How could we ever have the same mentality on certain
Well, they want to even the playing field. That's the whole purpose of wanting you to basically convert to their mentality so they can even the playing field.
I don't get that when you're dealing with someone. I don't believe that you're supposed to think the same. I don't think you're supposed to have same opinions on stuff. I think you're supposed to accept the differences between the two of you.
But I don't bite my tongue. I'm usually getting myself in a lot of hot water all the time. I'm just always, but I think people have gotten the hint that I'm just trolling sometimes. That I'm playing. Like, I love to play like devil's advocate.
Yeah, same.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not because I necessarily believe what I'm saying sometimes. It's just that I'm always trying to give a different perspective.
Yeah.
See, but that's the one they hate. See, that's what I do, the devil's advocate. But then they're like, why are you defending that point? Like, that's such a terrible point to defend. But it's like, I'm not defending the point. I'm playing devil's advocate so you can see both sides of the equation, and then you can kind of evaluate, oh, well, put yourself in this guy's shoe. What? Maybe he was thinking this way.
Yes.
No, there could be no way he was thinking that way. And they have they're already decided on what they want to believe. So whatever you say that is counter to what they're talking about, they're going to paint you in a bad light. So I notice, you probably noticed this with talking with women, sometimes one conversation of or a wrong opinion on something can end that relationship. trust me, if we're talking religion, politics,
I think
certain things, yes, you can say the wrong word and that will be enough for a woman to be like, I can't really mess with you.
I think a lot of times I don't even be knowing what was said though. To be fair, like it's just like if we're talking like I'm just dating a woman, getting to know her stages. Sometimes it could be something I said and then I never know.
You didn't even know, but you already like we're talking about the ick.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why didn't she respond to me? It's like, didn't you remember when you're talking about this topic? Yeah, she already canceled you out.
But I feel like I do that too. Like
you cancel people out for like certain conversations, certain things they say?
Yeah, like I remember I was having a conversation with somebody about video games. And they went on this rant about video games. You know what I'm saying? And people that play video games. And
a woman?
Yeah, it was a woman. It was a woman.
What was she saying about video gamers?
What was her whole issue?
Beef.
The beef was like people. It's weird that people like to play shooting games, and I won't say that she didn't have some good perspective on it, but it was just kind of like.
What was her perspective?
Honestly, bro, I don't even remember half of it. She wanted. It was like a 30-minute. Like she just.
God.
Well, 30 minutes.
You can't do anything with these women because they can't tell us
a gaming console.
It was game console. Yeah.
It was something about whatever, and I was like, okay, and then that was just enough for me to be like,
I'm out. I can't deal with that.
It's like, I think for men, I don't know how y'all feel, but like if it comes to taking a date, like to date seriously and build a partnership with somebody, I really like my peace. I like stress free. I don't need, and if it's getting to the point now in my life at least, where if you stressing me out over nothing, then I don't want to.
Well, we're the same age group, so I feel the same way. If you're stressing me out on stuff that are irrelevant or they're so minuscule, I'm gonna tell you, there's the door. Find your way out, because I was living my life way before you came into it, and now you're coming in here and you're dictating and telling me what I should do and what's right and what's wrong. Like, what? Am I a child for you to try and program me to behave a certain way? And this is how your etiquette's supposed to be. Like, really?
But I do think also on the flip side though that I have missed out on some very quality women because of how my mentality is with certain things, of how like I'm just very much, especially because we were talking about, I'm very much now I don't want a serious relationship, and that sometimes I'm fortunate enough, and I have been fortunate enough to come across some really quality women that really hold it down and support you and look out for you and will do things. You know
so
what I'm saying?
What happened with those scenarios?
They just end, man. I just be like,
but end off of what? Like you don't want to continue them, or?
They end off of like, I don't think I'm ready for this thing. I don't want this thing. You know what I'm saying? So like, it just comes.
So you come to the conclusion usually.
This is, and even before we even dating, I'm saying like, I'm not even wanting that.
Yeah. So you come in with the intention not to date, but when you approach them, how are you approaching them? You're approaching them like,
you mean
like how are you approaching them? Like, are you approaching them on a like, let's just vibe and let's see what happens type of shit?
That's very much how I go about things.
Let's just chill.
You know what I found? A lot of people would disagree with this, especially women. I found in my personal experience, when I've dated for a specific end goal, you actually feel more disappointment than you do actually succeeding and getting that
with
thing.
no expectation. So you're saying no expectations is better than having high expectations?
For me, it's been better to be like, when I don't have any expectations about what, not any expectation, but I'm not looking for a particular outcome. I'm just dating just to get to know the vibe, to see if I vibe with you. That has worked out better for me personally. And I'm not saying this is the methodology people should go about when they are dating. I'm saying I found for me that when I've gone and I'm like, oh, I like this girl, I really want to try to, it always ends up in disappointment because you can't control the outcome of how other people feel about you. You know what I'm saying?
think that's how you have to approach these apps, or even just talking to people in general.
So in this day and age, where have you found was the most suitable place to meet women? Because we're both around the same age. And where do you think is the most suitable place if you're not using the apps?
Right.
Where would you say
For what purpose though? For
just
just
dating or
Dating?
like even having flings and stuff of that nature, catching a vibe, as they would say.
Let's catch a vibe.
Yeah, it's catch a vibe, you know. So
Just trying to vibe tonight.
yeah,
I feel like it's gotten much.
What's vibe mean? Sex?
No,
a vibe is like an energy,
like you just
energy
like,
trance.
That's a code word. Code word. Code word.
it
Yeah.
don't- does it mean sex for some people?
I think it does.
I mean,
think
do guys go on dates just to go on dates and continuously go on dates?
Majority of people are trying to have sex.
You're trying to have a vibe and then sex is on the
I
table.
think sex is always a hope and
I think-
an outcome you would like regardless of what
Yeah,
happens.
but I
that's-
think they
that's
use
not-
code word.
Code word is
Yeah.
vibe because you're
Yeah.
saying you don't want to be you don't want to be in a relationship, but I want to see like if we can vibe, have some sex. I mean, it's almost like test driving a
Test
driving a
try
car.
and then
Like,
after find out if this car is
a lot of
suitable for
people find out whether they want to deal with someone
yeah.
after sex. I'm telling you right now.
I can see that for sure.
Mhm.
I guess for me, vibe just means like it doesn't necessarily have to end up in sex.
you. Oh,
I know it doesn't necessarily have to end up in sex.
it could be a friendship. Yeah, I
It
guess.
could be a friendship. When you go there, you're gonna see what vibe they're giving off, right? If a girl's giving off a vibe that's not a sexual vibe, then obviously you know that's probably not on the table. But if she does give that sexual vibe you're looking for, and if you're not dating for seriousness, that means you're dating for what?
No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah,
But I think even if you want a relationship, sex has got to be a part of the equation.
Yeah, but
100%.
people can wait for it. Yeah, people can wait for that scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, people wait.
Not this person.
I heard a crazy story recently. Actually, this girl told me she had a guy wait a year. This day and age, was it 2024? Wait a year before he got anything from her.
Shit.
Now,
What's her
okay,
age?
okay,
What's her age?
Hold on.
What's her age?
25.
God damn.
Actually, I think that makes sense.
Hold on, and
think
then
that
on
makes
top
sense.
of it, but the woman said that it worked out though. The guy waited patiently. Then now they're dating. Now they have a relationship, and the guy waited, and
Yeah,
he never had no issues with
I think
waiting.
that's an outlier though, for sure. Though I don't think most people that are waiting a year.
Yeah, no.
is
I
gonna
think the only way
that.
you could wait a year is if you have
You had
like
other
a
people.
roster. Like you have
Yeah,
other people. You're
100%.
dating. You're doing your own thing. You come back. You talk. Little 1, 2.
I think you guys are
Chill out.
underestimating how hard it is for men to have sex with women.
Oh, maybe that could.
I think you're underestimating it.
know, man,
Yes,
'cause
you
I
know
think-
why?
I
You
think-
know why? Do you know why? This is what I'll tell you. Depending on how attractive that woman is, men will wait a year, 2 years even. Depending on how attractive a woman is,
That's
and if
crazy.
she's keeping you around, she's giving you the vibe you want. Maybe sex is not on the table, but the vibe is there.
Oh, wow,
When she,
yeah.
when she might can do stuff for you. It doesn't always have to be sex to keep a woman around.
I ain't got that much time. I don't know what's
But
happening.
listen, but
I
see,
got tonight, and that's it.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think it depends on what the girl's doing on the back end.
But you
I
said
guarantee.
they're 20, right? So I feel like
I think the guy was in maybe older
Oh.
gentleman, like in his 30s, and he probably waited that year. But I'm just saying, like, is that realistic? If the woman's doing shit for you, if she's helping you out with what you got going on, she supports you and what you have going on, whatever she spends time, pays for dinners too, does the same thing,
right.
put in the effort to show that she actually messes with you. You're telling me that if no sex is on the table, that's a dud. You're done with that relationship.
not a year, dog.
A year is a crazy time.
crazy-
I said the guy is crazy in my opinion.
honestly, realistically, maybe a couple of months at max.
Mhm.
A year is just like I could have done so much in that year.
So then, we have to look at it this way. So with dating, then sex is the most important.
I think it is most important. I think
think
most
it
people
is.
don't want to say it is, but I think it is definitely a
in
most
this Western world.
yeah,
It
for
is.
sure.
It is because
Yeah.
we're already not non-traditional. So sex is always gonna be most important because we've already had sex. We already know.
That's why I'm saying, because someone that never had sex would
Sex-
be, this is a great deal.
Yeah, it's a great
Like,
deal.
you
But it's
know,
not a
like-
great deal when you've already had sex.
When they had sex and
It's a barometer. You know what I'm saying? It's a way to measure realistically how much a woman may like you. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
Because if a woman is going to give you sex, she most likely likes you enough to give
yeah,
you sex.
yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
if I guess you wait a year, she's obviously not that attractive.
Well, if
to
she,
you. No, that's a true
But
statement.
also, like I said, I
That's
don't
a
want.
true
There might be other variables involved with that. entire
Yes, of course. So
situation,
we're
like, what are their values? Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. If
Yeah,
you go
that's true.
value system, and do they want to get married? Are they a virgin? Are they, all the
there are
different
guys
things?
who have those values of like, I want to wait because of whatever their religious beliefs are. What you know what I'm saying? That plays a factor. So I don't know what those.
And at the same time, even in that situation, maybe she wanted to sleep with the guy that was like her boyfriend, for example. Some girls only sleep with guys in a relationship. Maybe the guy wasn't willing to do it. And when you hear a year, you're thinking he's putting in the work every week, every day. But maybe he was even like on and off. He's doing his thing on and off, but she just lingered around. And then it's like, I hit you up every here and there. We chill every here and there. And then eventually it's like, all right, we're at that point.
When I hear that story though, like me generally, I think that like there had to be some gaps in communication between them. Like
100%.
That's what I mean.
And they were talking.
That's what I figured. Yes, I figured there's a lot of space
There
in
was a
between.
lot of space, and then
We're
it
busy.
just so happened this time frame happened a year. It wasn't like
A year steady.
I
Yeah.
don't think she intentionally was like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna wait a
yeah.
year.
No,
I
no,
think
no.
It's
Circumstances
been long
dictated
distance
it.
as well.
Yeah,
it's
well, I
long
think
distance.
circumstances dictated that.
But I do want to conclude this podcast episode. So, in terms of what would you leave the guests in terms of advice when it comes to content creation, or just when it comes to, is it okay for a man to have their own preference, or should we have to hide? What's your
Just last words.
I think it's absolutely okay for you to have your preferences, but I think depending on what your preferences are, both men and women, you have to accept that it may be detrimental to you actually getting what you may want from a person. You know what I'm saying? So like preferences are okay. I think I made a joke once, like, you're okay to have your preferences, but it's also okay for your preferences to keep you single.
Oh yeah,
For a relationship.
okay.
So
Breach.
and this is both men and
Women. So
I'm saying,
tailor
so,
your
like,
expectations.
you need to definitely tailor your
for-
expectations, and like, just don't put so much pressure to have a certain end goal. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do and you get disappointed, you take that hard. You know what I'm saying? But like
I think biggest thing is sometimes you have to look for potential, right? Sometimes it's not going to be a ready-made package.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants the ready-made guy. Got dude set up. He has his house set up. Has his car set up. His finances. Everything's on point. I think like a lot of women come into the game trying to get that type of guy that has everything together.
Package deal, yeah.
But most men don't have everything together for a whole lifetime, right? So it's a work in progress.
They can even have character flaws.
Yeah, even character flaws. But I think the biggest thing is that, expectations are good to have up front. They shouldn't be so severe at the upfront. I think that you have to actually be around the person to really understand what they're truly about. I think just off of, simple criteria, that only either limits you from potential matches or, eliminates potential matches.
Yeah, I think it's something you'll say, and it's the last thing I'll say. Potential is important, and I think it's important to recognize that where you meet somebody is not necessarily where they will end up or where they'll stay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
People grow, things happen, life, and also like you gotta account for life. Like shit happens.
That's what I mean. Ups and downs, roller coaster.
It's never an upward trajectory for anyone.
Yeah, there's always ups and downs, bumps in the road.
Just just do your best. I guess.
Do your best, man. You're in it.
I guess I would say just I would say believe in your instincts as well as your intuition. Sometimes it helps guide you to where you need to be. And also some of the knowledge that you've gained from experience and from living vicariously through others and their experiences. It will help to guide your own life and what type of woman that you're looking for. And that's all I want to say on this podcast. Redmond, thanks for coming out,
thank
brother.
You, man. Thank you.
This is great. This
Appreciate
is great.
it, brother.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And this is Far From Normal, and we are out.
Yeah.
This is...